let's see, we're going to do your, no, let's do your money line. I always skip over that money line. That money line is a red, it's in red, and it's in between, it's vertical lines that start at the end of the headline and they go up towards the Mercury finger. The explanations between the Mercury and the Sun finger. 2 lines, that means 2 incomes in your 20s and 30s. Now if you get scholarships or a financial aid or anything like that for school, you have to count that as an income because it's a benefit to you. Alright, 2 lines, 2 incomes in your 20s and 30s, 1 line in your 40s. And at that point, that money line has crossed over the heart line. In between the head and the heart line, that's about age 20, 30, and half of 40. Then it crosses over the heart line about 45. And then you got 1 line, that's in your 40s. And then you got 4 lines, 4 incomes in your 50s, and your 60s and your 70s. So it looks really good in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And then the children lines are lines that are, they're kind of short lines. They just come down from the Mercury finger. Let's do the children first. In green, 3 children. And then I got a little note, did you have 1 miscarriage? There's a little half of a line in there. Well, let's see, you're young enough, you're still in your childbearing ages. And then I only show 1 marriage line. Going up from the flirt lines, that section in there is divided into thirds. So up from the flirt lines, that first third would be about age 20, 30. The next third would be 40, 50. The next third is 60, 70, 80. And I just showed the 1 marriage line. And then after that is a lighter line. That's kind of a relationship line. Your marriage line's a good marriage line. It's got good color, nice. It's nice and even and it's long. But I'll tell you this, the women will outlive the men. The reason being is that women have an XX chromosome and the men have an XY chromosome, and they have a tendency to die about 6 or 7 years before a woman does. That's why you see so many little widows running around. And so you'll probably lose a husband. Well, you probably won't, you will, because then you've got 1 relationship line after the marriage. So, but you don't seem to marry again. It's just a real light line, the relationship line is. So I only see 1 marriage line in there. And it's a good marriage line too. Okay, the length of the fingers are your talents. Everyone has talents. No one gets cheated. Long fingers mean one thing. Short fingers mean another thing. Nothing's good or bad. That's just the way you're born. If you look down in the lower right-hand corner of your chart, this is your palm shapes. The palm shapes are probably your most important talent. And you've got a nice artistic palm. It's a round palm. You see color and proportion, things that fit together well. Upper right hand corner of your chart, types of fingertips. This is your personality. Go all the way down where it says round fingertips. Very intuitive, quick, compassionate, should be in the help field. Usually I see those type of fingertips on the doctors and the nurses. Now let's go back down to the thumb here. You're going to do your talents now by the length of your fingers. Thumb's a little bit long. It means you will do well in life. Good manual dexterity. You hold tools and instruments well in your hands. You work well with your hands. And that Jupiter finger, that index fingers. Oh, it's excellent. It's long. That's the boss finger. The manager, the supervisor, the teaching finger. Sales finger. Let me explain the names on these fingers. palmistry is about 2,000 or 3,000 years old, and they had gone through and they named all the fingers and different areas of the palm, and usually they were like names like Greek gods or goddesses or astrological names. So that index finger is the Jupiter finger, the middle finger is the Saturn finger, the ring finger is the Sun finger, and that little finger is the Mercury finger. Then that section right in between the head and the heart line, all across the palm, that's called the Mars area. And right below the thumb, in that fat pad right below the thumb, that's called the Mount of Venus. Venus, goddess of love. Because that's going to tell you about your libido. But it also tells you if you're drinking enough water. Yours looks good, good. Looks like you're well hydrated. You want to see a nice little fat pad right there below your thumb without any wrinkles in it. And if it gets wrinkles, you know you're slacking up on your water. You need to be drink about 34 ounces of water a day. And you look like you're doing good. Okay, let's see. Back to the fingers here. We've done your Jupiter finger. That's excellent. And now your Saturn finger, that middle one. It's a little bit short. That needs to be about the length of the palm. A little bit short means you're concerned with social issues. Again, very compassionate. Very caring about your fellow man. That Sun finger. That Sun finger is about average. That needs to come up to about halfway on that top joint. And it just barely does. So you got both qualities there. The long quality, creative, imaginative, inventive, abstract thinker. And also the qualities of the short finger. Practical, systematic, organized. A place for everything and everything in its place. Okay, the little finger, the little Mercury finger. It's a little bit short. Hands-on person. You like to be moving around. Very active. You like to be moving around when you work. Sitting at a desk is not your favorite thing to do. Although you've probably done a lot of sitting if you're a researcher, aren't you? Oh, you even had a PhD. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of studying. This is your angel lines. Your guardian angel lines. Who your guardian angel is. And then if you've ever had a visit from a guardian angel, who your guardian angel is going to show in your left hand only. And then if you've ever had a visit from a guardian angel, it's going to show in your right hand only. So, on the bottom of that lifeline, on your left hand only, a line will come up and it'll touch on the lifeline at the age you were when someone you have bonded to has passed away, has died. Like your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your aunties, uncles, cousins, old boyfriends, old girlfriends. Now this is the age, remember this is the age you were when they passed away. Then it makes a teeny tiny line that goes across that lifeline where it touches. So this is who your guardian angels are. This is someone you bonded to. And this is the age you were when they passed away. At age 14, age 18, and age 26. Didn't you just lose somebody? Oh, your dad died when you were 26. Well, he makes a guardian angel line in there. Your male spirits will sit off to your right hand side, and your female will sit off to your left hand side. Sometimes you can feel the energy next to you when they're around. And then in your right hand only, now that was your left hand. This one is your right hand. The line will come up and touch on the lifeline at the age you were when you had a little visit from a guardian angel, say you've gotten really sick, or if you're in distress, or if you had an operation, or if you've had an accident, if you got hurt, you'll have a little guardian angel line. And then sometimes when someone dies that you bonded to, their spirit lifts from their body and it goes around and checks on all of their loved ones before it goes off into the light, and that makes a line at the time that they die. I think you got a couple of those. Oh, you do. So here's a little visit from a guardian angel in your right hand only, and the line just comes up and touches. It doesn't make a little extra line that goes across. At age 14, now see, that's when you had someone that passed away. At age 20 and age 23. Those are little visits from guardian angels. I started reading these palmistry books, and I'll be darned if all of this, the health didn't show in your hand. It's a good indication because the nerves all come off that spine. Then they end up in your hands and your feet. And so it will show any problems that you're having in your body on your hands. So, starting in between the thumb and the Jupiter finger, going along that head line, head and spine line, underneath the Jupiter finger, it's going to show your cervical vertebrae, 1 through 7. And underneath the Saturn finger, it's going to show your thoracic vertebrae, 1 through 12. Under the Sun finger, it will show your lumbar vertebrae, 1 through 5. And underneath that Mercury finger, it's going to show your the tailbone, your sacrum, your coccyx. And I say I discovered these when I was reading these books, because I found this old book. It's not in print anymore. It's written by a medical doctor, Dr. Eugene Scheiman, and he tells how you can see the spine in the hand because all the nerves in there. And by golly, it's true. Some people will take this spine chart, and it exactly matches up with their x-rays that they have. So every place that I've marked in the red areas in that spine, that's where you're out of place. Now you see, you're out of place quite a bit right there in the base of that bottom of that cervical area and at the top of that thoracic area. You've actually got the interneck. That's from bending over the computer a lot. You don't have to bend over that computer very much, 2 or 3 hours, and those vertebrae kind of slide out of place. And I've got a little therapy that will help that. My doctor told me, he says, you can do this little therapy, and it says it kind of pops that neck area back into place. I show my office workers, that bend over those computers all day long, how to do this, and boy, they say their spines feel a lot better when they do this little therapy. It's really easy. You either sit up straight in a chair or stand up, put your arms right straight out in front of you, and lock your fingers together. Now turn your palms over backwards, and you raise your arms above your head. That means your palms are facing the ceiling, and your arms are straight. I'll push your arms back behind your head, back, and you'll hear that bottom base of that neck go pop, pop, pop. It's popping those vertebrae back in place that have been stressed when you're leaning over the computer all the time. I used to read palms in the 1998, in 96, 97, 98, before the advent of computers. And boy, I didn't see the necks out of place like I see them now. Almost all the hands that I get, the necks are out of place. And I get hands from all over the world. But that neck, I've just determined that's called the interneck, when that neck's out of whack. Anyway, you do that little therapy and straighten up that the base of that neck, and you'll see a lot of your medical problems go away, because that stress right there. Or go see a chiropractor, get your spine straightened out. You might have to do that anyway. If you're out of place in the top part of that spine, it usually throws you out in the lower part of the spine to compensate for the top part. You know, it'll throw you out in the opposite way. It'll turn the opposite way in the lower spine, which is what yours has done. Because you're out, although you're out kind of in the middle too. And you've done something, had a car accident or bicycle accident, or do you ride horses? Let me see where you're from. Oh, you're in Saudi Arabia. Contact sports will sure throw your spine out of place. I don't know what kind of sports you'd play in your school. Soccer, that's really hard on you. Football's really hard. If you got boys, football's really hard on the spine. I don't think you play that. That's usually for the United States. Soccer's kind of hard. Gymnastics, any accidents, car accidents, or bike accidents, or horse accidents. I had a bunch of little gals here in the States. We have what we call rodeos, and the cowboys and the cowgirls do their little thing. They wrangle the horses and the cows, and they always pick a princess and or a queen and two little princesses for the rodeo from the cowgirls. And so I'd set up my little table outside the rodeo and was reading palms, and the queen and her two princesses came over to the table. They had their hands read. Oh, their little spines were just jammed. Oh my goodness, I felt so bad. They were only 19 and 20 years old. And the little queen girl, her spine was jammed just terrible. I looked up and I said, doesn't your back hurt? And she said, oh, you can't believe how bad my back hurts, because they bounce up and down on those saddles all day. She said, we had to go out there halftime during the rodeo and ride around that arena and wave and smile at everybody. And she says, all the time that I'm waving and smiling, she says, I just got big old tears running down my cheeks because my back hurts so bad. Oh, see where I've got that little red asterisk there, right underneath where it says Sixth Sense, underneath the Jupiter finger? It says this area is causing the hypothyroidism on Hashimoto's. Because look, right there, where you're placing that lower neck area, is the 7 cervical vertebrae. That's your thyroid gland. That'll cause some problems in your shoulders and your elbows too. And then right there in the top part of that thoracic area, right at the base of the neck again, that's your heart nerves. That's what's causing some stress on that heart line. Okay, going along that headline, you're getting a depression line. See, there's a little black asterisk. Go down to the bottom of the page there. Depression line, it's only in your left hand, which means you're probably getting the depression. But you're probably, it says only on the left hand, which means you are probably depressed, but taking antidepressants. I'm sure you've gone to your medical doctor and he's prescribed you some antidepressants. And then what that does, that keeps those lines from forming in the right hand, but they still show in the left hand because the left hand is your past. So you're still having the depression that's being caused in your body because it shows in the left hand but not the right hand. I didn't see the depression line too much. Oh, if you look really hard, you can see a little bit of the depression line in the right hand. But taking the antidepressants isn't going to cure the problem. Straightening up that spine is going to cure it. Now, right underneath where it says depression line, look underneath where it says health line. That's your internal organs. That's your colon, your spleen, your liver, generally the organs in the lower part of your body. So when you're out of place in that lower part of the spine, that's going to throw the organs into a little fit, and they're going to stress. They're going to, it pinches the nerves, and they send little nerve signals, and they don't quit. They go 24 hours a day. When those nerves, when that's turned out of place in that spine, it pinches those nerves. They don't quit sending the signal all the time. The only thing that's going to straighten that up is if you straighten up the spine and get the spine working good. So, let me tell you how to keep that spine straightened out. We were doing a fundraiser for our secondary school, and I'd set up my table in the gym at the school, and I had a bunch of ladies come in the gym, and two of them came over to my table and had their hands read. Well, I read their hands, and they had perfect spines, and I couldn't believe it. And they were laughing and giggling, and they motioned their girlfriends to come over, and I read all their hands. There were 7 of them all together, and all 7 of those women had perfect spines. And I looked up from my table, and I said, "Oh, are you girls trying to trick me or something?" And they just laughed, and they thought it was the funniest thing. And one of the girls finally walked over to my table, and she said, "Well, Kat, I better tell you," she says, "we're the walking club. We walk 7 miles every day." She says, "and when we walk at a good fast clip." Well, that makes sense, because those two muscles from the legs go up and hook on the back muscles, and the 2 back muscles run alongside this spine, and when you walk, especially at a good fast pace, they go up and down, up and down, up and down, and it strengthens those back muscles. So it holds that spine in good alignment. So that's one of the best things that you can do for your spine, is to get out and walk. I would get my spine put in place first before you go out and walk, and then get out there and walk and keep that spine in good alignment. That's just good help. And I will almost guarantee that you'll see that Hashimoto's and that the thyroid problems, you'll see that go away when you get that spine straightened up. And my guess is that autoimmune disease will kind of go away, and it'll help you with the with being overweight too, because when you get out and walk, of course it burns up those calories, and it just makes you so you're not very hungry. I'm going to send I've got a cancer sheet that tells you how to eat. All you got to do is just eliminate the bread and the starches from your diet, and the weight just drops off. Just concentrate on eating your fruits and vegetables, and 7 ounces of protein a day. And that line, now you get that spine straightened up, and that will all clean up on that head line. Your depression line will go away. Don't get off the depression pills just immediately, because you have to kind of wean yourself off those, kind of reduce those a little bit at a time. I'm sure your doctor told you that. And that heart line will clean up. That headline will clean up. And that health line, you'll get just one clean line on that health line. Right now, you've got a whole bunch of fussy little extra lines in there. You want to see one clean line just going from the fate line up to that money line. And the fate line starts at the base of your palm. There's two starts. If it starts out to the outside of the hand, you're very sociable and you like to have your friends and family around you all the time. Yours does. Yours is a sociable one. Or if it starts down the middle, they're very private. And that line goes to the Saturn finger only. If it goes anywhere else, it's not the fate line. So it starts at the base of the palm, goes to the Saturn finger where it crosses the headline, that's age 40, where it crosses the heart line, that's 50. When it gets up to that ring around the Saturn finger, that's age 80. When it breaks, this fate line equals your career and your lifestyle. And when it breaks, it's a change in either one or the other, sometimes both. And I've circled most of the breaks. Okay, that starts at the base of that palm. Yours starts way out to the outside of the palm. At age 24, just kind of a little change. Sometimes you'll just get a little line off of that fate line. It's kind of a minor change. 25, you had a break. 30, you had a break. 31, it breaks. And then 35, you get a big break in there for about 2 years. The line gets really light. It still stays there as a line. Oh, maybe you'll take a break from all your work. So at 35, big break for about 2 years. Then another break at 39. Then it crosses over that headline. And 40 to 45, 2 lines, that means 2 jobs, running simultaneously for about 5 years there, 40 to 45. And then that line goes on up into, crosses over the heart line. And then at age 52 to 60, again 2 lines, 2 jobs. Can be a hobby and a job, can be 2 income producing jobs. It can, well, in your case, it might be 2 things that you're researching, but two kind of different things. And then at 60, that line forks, and it gets really strong. The line gets real dark, right there at 60. And then the 2 lines, see, the line forks, it gets strong, and then you get 2 lines again. They're kind of they're kind of separated there from the fork, and it goes up to age 80. And that's the ring around the base of the Saturn finger. Then at age 80, that line just goes right straight up into the finger, up to age 89. You're gonna live till you're 89 years old. But boy, you got something going on there in your 60s that's gonna be mighty important, because that line gets so strong. Well, it forks, it makes 2 lines. Both your lines get really strong. You can see that right at the base of your Saturn finger. Okay, that heart line generally starts in between your Jupiter and your Saturn finger. Comes down, should make a nice curve in the hand there, and then go off to the side where the flirt lines are. Yours is a little bit straight. When it's a little bit straight through it, it means you're kind of tough emotionally. There's 2 things you read on that heart line: your emotions and your heart health. And when that straightens out a little bit, you're kind of tough emotionally, means you guard your emotions. That also kind of indicates to me that you've been physically hurt. And then look up in your upper left-hand corner of your chart where it says lines of energy. Run your finger down where it says islands, ISLANDS. Anytime you see those little islands, little ovals, or maybe little triangle-y looking things, or little circles in the line, that means a little bit of stress in that line. And you're getting some of those little ovals all along the bottom of that heart line. A little slight heart help stress. But that's coming off your spine. That's because your spine's out of place where your heart nerves are. Okay. Let's see. You got a, in that sun finger, you've got a line that goes up. You want 2 or 3 little lines that go up into that finger from the palm, and those are creative achievement lines. See, they're in the purple. Maybe you'll do some research writing, or something that has something to do with your research. That's very creative. You've got a creative hand, by the way. Okay, underneath the Jupiter finger now. You got a couple of little lines in there, in that area, right smack under the Jupiter finger, a little bit of childhood injuries. And then underneath that, you want to see a nice little fat pad. It's called the sixth sense, or the intuition. And yours looks good. Got a nice little pad in there. Here's how you use that. If you got a problem you got to solve, just clear your mind completely. Let it go for about 30 minutes. And when you come back to solve the problem, you'll probably have it already solved, because your intuition or your sixth sense is kicked in, and it helps you solve the problem. So listen to the little promptings inside your head.